So microaggression is a subtle way of saying something that can cause a lot of, bother to the other person who's receiving it. However, this is not coming from a bad place, especially because the person that is saying or expressing this is doing it from ignorance. They are not aware of some other people's realities, and perhaps they are not very empathetic about these comments or say. But that doesn't mean that they are saying just to hurt you on purpose. So that's why I recommend that we always, making research or, are aware of some other realities, some other cultures, just to have an idea of how people will feel about some type of comments, about some type of actions. Because it's part of a human nature to socialize, and to socialize we need to know a little bit of the people that surrounded us for us just to have better relationship with them. However, we're not perfect, we're not going to be liked by others all the time, but just to try, and especially for applying respect. But I would like to address some of the examples of microaggression for you to be aware of. Perhaps maybe you did it in the past, or maybe, how is this reflected, and if you actually have experienced this before. So I would like to start with number one. This can be actually very common in the work environment when somebody says like, wow, you're so articulated. And this is pretty common to take it as microaggression when you are in another country. And somebody says something like, wow, you're so articulated. Perhaps you can interpret this like, oh, I'm not supposed to have an accent, or I'm not supposed to be articulated because of my ethnicity or something like that. And someone can say like, okay, you're very sensitive. But it's more like understanding where this is coming from. Especially because that will reflect that perhaps the other person is not expecting for you to know a little bit about the topic or to express it that well. And this can also be reflected with somebody of color. This is also another example that is really common, that they feel very offended when somebody expresses that to them. Especially for the fact that many of people from color, they have a way of speaking, and somebody who does it differently feel that they are being qualified as somebody that is not supposed to be articulated. So that's why we need to be very careful when it comes to that. So the second example where this can be presented is when you don't say the right name of somebody just because you want to save time, and maybe you just apply the nickname with them to them. And this can be presented like this. Let's say you are in another country, and because you're a Latina, somebody's going to say, oh, Maria. It's easy for me just to say like that, but it's not okay. You need to learn the other person's name. First of all, you're going to show them that you respect them and you acknowledge them. And that's why, what I recommend in these cases is just learn everybody's name and, address them with their name. Unless you have more, a closer relationship, and then if the other person has a nickname and they allow you just to call them like that, it's a different story. But first of all, the best way for you to show respect is just acknowledging or addressing the people with their names. And the next example, and I have to say I'm guilty about this because I did it in the past, is that when we meet somebody who's gay and then we say, oh, I have a friend who's also gay, I think you might like him or her. And we're just acknowledging just because they're gay, which is the only thing they have in common, they're gonna like each other. And that's not fair because they are also human, and it's like you put it like that, you're straight and then you're just gonna like random people just because you're straight. It's not like that. They also have standards, they also have their own taste, and this is something we need to stop saying, and it's annoying for them. The other one is like, where are you actually coming from? And this is more in another country, that people who is a foreigner, they are the one who go through this. And it's annoying because why is it so important to know? What makes it so relevant for you to know where I'm coming from? Why don't you ask me some other questions about, what do I do for work, or what do I do for growth and stuff like that? I know sometimes, we are socially awkward and we don't know what kind of questions to do or to make in this case. But the thing is that we need to be very careful, because this can be really annoying and this can trigger a lot of things on the other person. But like I said, this is something very subtle. We are human, we are able to make mistakes, and sometimes we are not actually aware that we are harming the other person, we're just being well. But that's why we need to, not only be careful, but just be very empathetic in order for you to avoid this type of situation. I know that we cannot be 100%, monitoring what we say, monitoring what we're going to do, because in most of the cases, we cannot avoid somebody else to feel offended by something we do. And it's something we cannot avoid sometimes. But as long as we do the things with a good intention, I think it's the most important thing. But knowing about microaggression and reading about it will give you better perspective of how to be careful in social events. So I hope this video was very useful for you, but the most important part is that you like it. So I hope you not only give me a thumb up, but that you share it for the people that you think you need it. And as I always say, I do this with all of my love, and see you the next time. Bye bye.